Welcome to part one of creating a website using raw HTML and written on Microsoft Notepad. Our starting point is our P drive. So we want to click on your computer. And creating a website is all about file management. And our starting point is going to be on our P drive. It's not going to be online, it's just going to be a website on our P drive. So putting the website online is a different kind of lesson, but we'll have it all structured, so all you'd have to do is put that folder online and it would be perfect. So here we go. We want to start in a P drive, click computer, and then you look for the drive with your name on it. I'm on my home computer, so I'm using my home network. It looks a little bit different, but you're looking for the one that has your first in it, your name. Mine's a little bit different here. And then we're going to create a directory or folder for our website. And that's going to go in here. So I'm going to click new folder right up here. Another way I know a lot of people do it is they right click and they select new folder. New folder. Okay. I backed out. So I click new folder. Now with web browsers, when reading files and folders, they cannot read blank spaces. Now, a lot of us, myself included, have given web pages names in Google Sites with spaces in them and capital letters. Well, Google Sites automatically inserts an underscore mark. So if you called your directory Eric site with that page, it automatically goes back and puts like an underscore mark, so that there are no spaces. Now, when we're doing this without the help of Google Sites, you have to make sure that there are no spaces in folders, no spaces in file names. So my folder or directory is going to be called Eric Site, no spaces, no folders. This is going to be part of my web address. So if I put this online, I put it on my mrjarvis.net, this would be mrjarvis.net/Eric Site. It's case sensitive too, so I recommend all lowercase letters. We're going to do everything all lowercase, no spaces. Okay, so I called it Eric's Site. I'm going to open that up. And to help organize my page, I'm going to have a special directory or folder just for the images. So I want to make a folder in here called Images. All lowercase, no spaces. A web browser cannot read empty spaces. Your page will come up, file not found. I'm just going to go back now. So I have Eric's Site. And then I have a folder called Images because we're going to put some pictures on our web page. Okay, so there we go. That's our first lesson. That's the most important thing if you get anything on creating websites. If you look at your Google Site pages, at a page where you had spaces in the page name, go look and see what Google Site has done to the address. Or if you put symbols in there, I might have put an ampersand or underscore or something. Go check that out. Anyway, I'm going to close out my directory now. And the tool we're using is just a simple text editor called Notepad. You go click the Start button. Can't see mine. Go to All Programs. And instead of going to Applications where we normally go, click Accessories. And you should see Notepad, a little picture of a notepad. Often confused with MS WordPad. It's not WordPad, it's Notepad. So here's Notepad. It's very stripped down text editor. Mine's deciding to take a long time to load for some reason, but it should load right up. First thing I like to do is I'll go to Format and make sure Word Wrap is on. If Word Wrap is not selected and I'm typing, and I go to the end of the screen, it'll keep going off the screen and I'll get a scroll bar left to right. So I want Word Wrap. That's the only formatting we're going to have. Okay, all HTML editing. What the web browsers read are are instructions between the less than sign, shift the comma, and the greater than sign, shift period. So anything in here are code instructions for the web browser and will not be seen on the page. So the page knows that if it's inside these, they're instructions for the computer to do something. So anything outside of it will be seen on the page. But I needed to start with some code. So the first code I'm going to write is to tell the browser what version of HTML I'm using. So for that is exclamation mark, doc, type, and I'm just using the basic. I can have a space here, by the way. I can have spaces in my code. just not on folders or file names. And I'm using the basic HTML. So if you're using HTML version 5 or something more advanced, you're importing a JavaScript application, you need to tell the computer that case. We're doing simple HTML. That's the version. The next line is I need to tell the computer, here's my HTML code. Here it is, a less than HTML, and that's what I'm saying. The HTML coding, hypertext markup language, is starting here. Now on my web page, I'm going to have a header, a heading. And heading is just information for the browser. So I'm going to call this head, or my heading. And there are several things you can put in the heading. You can put search terms for search engines like Google to help it so your page comes up when somebody types a search tool. And also you can have the title of the page. The title of the page will appear when the user puts it in a favorites folder, or that's what will appear on the tab in Chrome as the name of the page. So we're going to put our title here. I'll demonstrate where that is later. So that the title is going to be, start here, Eric's website. Okay, now I need to say that's the end of the title, and there's a special character for that. It has to be within the less than greater than sign, and that's the / or the question mark key without the shift being held. So now it needs to stop being the title, so stop title. Okay, you have to tell the computer everything. You can't. It's not intuitive at all. So now I'm done with the heading. So I'm going to say end head. I could have put more stuff in there, and maybe in a more advanced lesson we can do some heading kinds of things, come up with search terms that we want to come up when it's on the internet. Okay, so I have the heading of the web page. So I say this is the type of HTML. The HTML starts here. Here's my web page heading, kind of like the name on your paper. Here's the title as it will appear on the actual tab or in a favorites bookmark. And now / means end heading. I'm ending the heading here. And I ended the title here. Okay, so now I'm on to the body of my page. So my body, and I'm going to start with, this is the body of the page that will be seen on it. I want a background color. So the tag, and you should have a handout for background color, is BG for background, color. And it's all one word. And then you say =. Okay, so how do I find some colors for my website? Let's go ahead and do that. I have some sample ones right there. So I'm going to go to mrjarvis.net. Once you're at mrjarvis.net, go to Resources, Steam Resources. Then click HTML. And then I'll have more resources here, hopefully by the time you even see this. I have color pickers. So colors on a website are determined by shades of red, green, and blue. And they use what's called hexadecimal numbers. And I have a couple of resources here. Now you can type simple color names, but I want to get us started with the hexadecimal numbers. And these are all the shades, and this is the hexadecimal number that it represents, and this would be in the name too. I think it's important to note that the shade, if there's no red, no green, no blue, it's going to be black. So the hexadecimal number 00, no green for green, R for our reds, 00 reds, 00 greens, 00 blues. There's my 6 numbers. Would give me black, or the absence of colors. All Fs would be F is full, would give me white. Now this is not really white because it has that 0 in here, maybe a little shade of darkness or black. So, but if this was all Fs, this would be pure white. Now, you can see it's not pure white. In fact, it's called azure. Now the color I've chosen is medium slate blue. That's right here. So I'm going to get this hexadecimal number and the pound sign. I'm going to just copy it, or I can right click copy. Go to my notepad. I just minimized it. Now I'm opening it. Equals, and there we go. 7B68EE. And my text color, I want something that contrasts a little bit. So let's go back. I'm just minimizing. And let me grab my text color. Now the one I chose on my tutorial is this one right here, light sky blue. The main thing you want to be careful of, I've seen lots of students create websites and then they had black on black, or like just colors didn't contrast enough to see the text. So I'm going to copy this one from my text. Control C, or right click copy, and for text, there's my text. Now I need my closing tag. If I don't have my closing tag, this will appear on the screen. You'll see the text. You'll see these words on the screen. So I have my body background color all set up. Okay, now I'm going to do my font size and font face. So font size, space size, this is on your handout, equals. I want something, +4 is quite big, quite large. And then a space, and I want my font style, my font face, equals. And now here's kind of a tricky part. You have to type everything perfectly. Quotation marks. I'm going to put a list of fonts. These are just instructions for your computer to display a font. If your computer doesn't have the font I asked for, it'll do the default font. Kind of an ugly Times Roman thing. So what you do is you list a series of fonts. So the first one I'm going to type is Comic Sans space MS. Has to be perfect. Then a quotation. This is opposite of what I've been telling you all year long in language arts. The comma comes after the quotation. So the name of the font has to be completely enclosed in quotation. There cannot be a comma in here. Now I can do the next font. There's a space. If they don't have Comic Sans MS, I'm going to tell it to choose Arial, A-R-I-A-L, comma, space, and then Arial's on just every PC, and then I need one, but it's not on a Mac. So if they're using a Mac, I'm going to have it display Helvetica. And then closing. Okay. All right, the next thing I have is the symbol. So we have font size. Font is the size of the font, obviously. The face is the type of font. And now I'm going to have the font size. Well, I'm going to start with paragraph. P means paragraph. This is a paragraph. And so for this paragraph, I want it align center. So I want the paragraph align equals center because it's going to be like a title. Notice I made a typo. If I left that in there, there's no spell check in HTML or Notepad, so it has to be perfect. It wouldn't have shown it as centered. So align centered. There's a couple of tags. I could just write center, but I'm going to do P align center for future reference. I'm going to do different things. Now I'm outside the tags. Mr. Jarvis's site. Okay. And that's going to appear on the page because it's not enclosed. And now I'm going to draw a horizontal line across the page. I like those. So the tag for that is HR. And what that does is just draw a line across the page. Okay. So we have a little stuff. This is all it says is Mr. Jarvis's site. Okay. So now it's time. This is Untitled Notepad, and it's not a web page yet. Okay. So I need to save it. So I'm going to go File, Save As. And I'm going to save it in that directory, my P drive, Eric's site. Now here's a trick here. Usually in the folder, the first page the user goes to should be called index. That's kind of a standard practice. Okay. That way if the user doesn't indicate which page to go to in the folder, the browser will automatically look for index. So I'm going to go index dot. And this is the extension. This is what makes it a HTML file. So index dot, no spaces, HTML. So I've just created my website, index.html. So take a good kind of careful look at that. Make sure it's in your website folder. You should see images here as well. And then click Save. Okay, so I've made a web page. Now I can simply minimize my notepad, and I can go there. And let's see what it looks like when I go there. I go to my computer, or the computer. It shows you how old school I am. Click on computer, go to my P drive, look for Eric's site. And you should see, if your default browser is Google Chrome, it should look like the Google Chrome signal icon now. If your default browser is Internet Explorer, you'll see like an E. So now when I open it up, I'm opening it up as a web page. So double click. And there it is. It says Mr. Jarvis' site. So there I have the very, very beginning of my website. So, so I can close it out now, or I could leave it open. Now, if I want to open that, let's just say I closed my Notepad. How do I open this again as a Notepad? And that's kind of tricky, huh? So let me demo that. Computer, P drive, Eric's site. If I double click, it opens as a web page. Okay, and there's nothing I can do about it, right? Well, there is. I can either double click it. I can. I have to tell it to open in Notepad now. Okay, and I can do that by right-clicking and saying Open With and seeing if I have Notepad, or Choose Default Program. If that doesn't work, your other alternative is to open Notepad again. And this is kind of important. Accessories, Notepad, and say File, Open. Go to your P drive. Now, I'm in my P drive. I'm in Eric's site, but I don't see it. Why? Because it's only showing me text document. It's not a text document anymore. It's a web page. So I need to say All Files. And if I open a web page in HTML and in Notepad, I'm always going to see its code. So here I'm back to its code. So what I recommend doing is just leaving this open. Now we can write some more stuff. I'm going to go to the next line. I'm going to make the font a little bit smaller. Font size equals +3. And now I'm going to say, let's see here, my name is, oops, and this is my website. I create with HTML. Okay. All right. So that's going to appear on this a little. This font should be a little bit smaller. And now let's say I'm just doing this for. Say I hit the Enter key a whole time. It won't read that. So I'm going to say hello or hi. Okay. And I want you just to see what that looks like. It's just my point that it doesn't read these spaces or Enter keys. So I'm going to click File, Save. Okay. I'm not going to close it. I saved it. Saving's important. And now I'm going to open the website again. Okay. I'm going to go to my P drive. The rest of the tutorials are going to be much shorter, I promise. Okay, there we go. And there it is. And notice where it says hi. All those spaces, and that's where it says hi. So I go back, and I can, when I'm working, this is what I do. I kind of shift back and forth. The hi is way down here. So let's do this. Let's put in front of it a new code I'm going to teach you called break. I mean, it's BR for line break. And let's see what that does. Go File, Save. And then what we're going to do is refresh the screen and see if this hi moves. I'm demonstrating the BR. There it did. It went down to another line. So they forced a line break. Okay. So I'm kind of going here. So the next tutorial is on adding an image, and that's a lot of fun. So we're on. So this is what I'm doing, and I can do Alt Tab and just switch between Alt and Tab. Add some more code. I can also, a couple of other codes, you'll see one that's called B. You can kind of guess. What do you think B does to text? Well, it makes it bold, okay? Now, I'm going to make that bold. I'm going to say end bold here. Remember, the / is end. So Eric is going to be bold. It's going to start being bold here and end right after it. The other one is I can underline stuff. Underline is U. Kind of all common sense. And stop underlining. Another one is italicized. So I'm going to make HTML italicized. And italicizes I. And I'm going to stop italicizing here. Okay, let's see what that does to it. A couple of new codes in here I'm throwing at you. See, it starts out kind of hard, but then it gets easier. So File, Save, open in Chrome, and refresh. So we're looking for the Eric to get bold, website, underline, HTML italicized. Let's see if I did it correctly. Lo and behold, I did. There we go. So you're off and running. You're creating a website, not using a browser, not using Google Sites. Great job. Let's add a picture next.